In the tapestry of life, we all find ourselves waiting for a breakthrough or a change, especially when our desires and prayers seem to go unanswered for a long time. It's a common thread that sometimes weaves us all together. It's not only a waiting game, but also a dance with uncertainty. So stay tuned until the end to find out some shocking but insightful truths about trusting God in the storms. There comes a point in life when we find ourselves caught in the middle of a storm, not of our making, and yet we have need of weathering it if we are to come through the other side victorious. Did you realize that a bend in the road isn't the end of the road? It only becomes the end when we fail to take the bend. So these storms of life can be as diverse as we are. They could be brewing at your job, creating tension and stress, but they could also sometimes be swirling in your marriage, causing rifts and heartache. And they could even be looming over your relationship with your children or parents, creating a chasm of misunderstanding. They could also be in your health, making each day a struggle, or in your finances, casting a shadow over your future. And so, what is about these storms, if one may ask? Did you know not only do they not knock before they enter, but they just barge in, uninvited, often catching us off guard? They could even come from those we thought loved us and trusted us. Yes, from circumstances we never saw coming, and suddenly, everything we've built, everything we've trusted in, seems to collapse. Do you remember the story of Joseph in the Bible? Did you know the storms he went through only started with a dream from God about his future that he shared with his own family, whom he thought loved him dearly, including his own parents? So what do we do when we're blindsided by life? How do we prepare for such sudden shifts in our world? How do we recover from the shock, the hurt, the disappointment? These are questions we've all asked at some point. You may have lost your job after years of dedication, and now you're left wondering how to reinvent yourself. Or perhaps you can't make ends meet and find yourself moving back in with your parents. The origins of these storms are as varied as their impact, but here's the silver lining. There is nothing too big or heavy for God. You see, these storms, they're not just tests of our resilience, but also testimonies of God's strength. He can handle it all. He's the master of the winds and the waves, the one who can calm the storm with a single word. So, remember, while storms can have many origins, the answer is always the same. There is nothing too big or heavy for God. God's response to our storms is not one of indifference, but of perfect solutions. In life's tempests, we often feel alone and overwhelmed. It may feel as though the storm is all there is, but this couldn't be further from the truth. God's response to our storms is not one of indifference, but of perfect solutions. He is not a passive observer of our struggles. Instead, He is a proactive participant, providing us with the tools we need to weather the storm and come out stronger on the other side. God uses challenges to shape and grow us. Just as a potter shapes clay into a beautiful vessel, so does God mold us through our trials. He doesn't cause the storm, but He uses it to refine us, to make us more like Him. The pressure, the heat, the difficulty, these are the tools He uses to shape us into vessels of honor, fit for His purpose. Every situation, no matter how difficult, has a purpose. This purpose is not always immediately apparent. Sometimes it's only in hindsight that we can see how God was shaping us through our trials. But rest assured, there is always a purpose. God is not in the business of wasting pain. He uses it to bring about His perfect will in our lives. God's hand is in every situation, working everything out for our good. He is the master weaver, taking the threads of our lives, the good and the bad, and weaving them together into a beautiful tapestry. Every thread has a purpose, every color adds depth, and every knot is necessary for the completed work. When God works through a storm in our lives, we come out better, cleaner, and with more peace and joy because we know we are in His will. So remember, when you're in the middle of a storm, God is not indifferent. He is actively working in your life, using the storm to shape you and grow you. He has a purpose for this season, and He is with you every step of the way. When God works through a storm in our lives, we come out better, cleaner, and with more peace and joy because we know we are in His will. Seasons change, and so do our circumstances. Ecclesiastes 3 says there's a season for everything. This is not just a poetic metaphor. but a profound truth about life. Just as nature has its seasons, so too does our existence. We experience times of growth and flourishing akin to spring. We relish in the warmth and abundance of our own summers. We witness the falling leaves of our personal autumns, and we endure the harsh cold of our winters. But remember, each season serves a purpose. Our seasons in life are unique, each bringing its own set of experiences, challenges, and lessons. They shape us, make us stronger, wiser. The hope-filled buds of spring, the joyous bounty of summer, the poignant beauty of fall, and the quiet introspection of winter. These are the seasons of our lives. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, to be overwhelmed by the winter chill or the summer heat. It's easy to forget that this, too, is a season, and seasons change. But we must remember that our present circumstance is not our final destination. Today's trials are tomorrow's testimonies. Today's pain could be the catalyst for tomorrow's purpose. It's crucial, then, not to make permanent decisions based on temporary problems. It's like selling your house because you don't like the weather. The weather will change. Your season will change. Don't let a winter season define your life story. Life's seasons, like nature's, are cyclical. They come and go, each serving their purpose, each bringing its lessons. Embrace your current season, knowing it's shaping you for the one to come. Remember, spring follows winter. Life blooms after a period of dormancy. Your current struggles are not in vain. They're not a denial, but a delay, a preparation for what's to come. In the grand tapestry of life, every thread, every color, every season has its place. And in this divine design, nothing is wasted, nothing is without purpose. The key to life is outlasting the season. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary problems. Trust in the timing of your life. Trust in the seasons of your life. Trust in God's timing for your life. Storms are reality, but they should not overshadow God's word or His presence in your life. In the midst of turmoil, it can be challenging to see beyond the tempest. Yet, it is precisely in these times that we must remember the potency and promise of God's word. We are not cast adrift in these storms without a compass. Indeed, we have the most trustworthy of guides in the form of God's word. Its timeless wisdom and divine authority are our beacon, illuminating our path even in the darkest of times. The scriptures are filled with promises that provide comfort and reassurance. For every storm that rages, there is a promise in God's word to counter it, a promise that is anchored in His limitless knowledge, His constant presence, and His unmatched power. God, in His omniscience, knows every detail of the tempest you're facing. There's no hidden corner, no secret struggle that escapes His gaze. He understands the breadth and depth of your hardship, and His word addresses it with pinpoint precision. His omnipresence ensures that you are never alone in your struggle. Even when the winds howl and the waves crash, He is there. In the quiet moments, when the storm roars within more than it does without, He is there. His word is a testament to His enduring presence, a reminder that He is a constant companion in every season of life. And in His omnipotence, He has the power to calm the storm, to still the waters and hush the winds. His word carries the authority of this divine power, a power that can transform your situation, a power that can bring peace amid chaos. Remember, God's word is not a mere collection of ancient texts. It is alive, dynamic, and relevant. It speaks to our present, heals our past, and lights the way to our future. There is a promise in God's word for every storm you'll face. He knows all about every storm because He is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Embrace the power of His word and let it be your guide, your comfort, and your victory in the storm. Whether you're in a secure house or a shaky one, storms come to both. They come to expose what you are built on. This truth, my friends, is as old as time itself. The storms of life, they do not discriminate. They do not care if you live in a mansion or a mud hut. They are not concerned with your social status or your bank balance. What they do care about, however, is the foundation on which you've built your life. Think about it. A house built on sand, no matter how grand or well-constructed, will crumble when the storm hits. But a house built on a solid foundation, even if it's a humble abode, will stand firm. This is a metaphor for our lives. The foundation on which we build our life is crucial. So what is this foundation I'm talking about? It's God's word. Building your life on the teachings and truths found in God's Word is like building your house on solid rock. When the storms come, and they will come, you will not be shaken. You will not crumble under the pressure, but stand firm, rooted in the knowledge and assurance of God's promises. But here's the catch. It's not enough just to know God's Word. We must live it out. We must apply it to our lives daily. Only then will it become the solid foundation it's meant to be. The storms of life are inevitable. They can shake us to our core. But remember, these storms also serve a purpose. They expose the foundation on which we've built our lives. They show us if we've built on sand or on solid rock. So I encourage you today, don't focus on the storm. Don't let it overwhelm you or cause you to lose hope. Instead, focus on your foundation. Make sure it's solid. Make sure it's built on God's Word. Focus on your foundation, not the storm. You are not remembered by what you avoided in life, but by what you survived. Stand firm, and remember, the storm is not the end of your story. It's just a chapter, and with God as your foundation, you can weather any storm that comes your way. We've all been there, waiting, hoping, praying for a breakthrough. But remember, your delay is not a denial. It's easy to get caught up in the storm and forget that there's a divine timing at play. This timing surpasses our human understanding. It's a rhythm that dances to the beat of God's heart, not ours. When it feels like we've been waiting forever, when we're knee-deep in the storm, it's natural to ask, why God? Why the delay? But perhaps the question we should be asking is, what are you preparing me for, God? Because often, it's in the waiting, in the delay, that we grow. It's in these moments that we are stretched and shaped into the people we need to become to face the next chapter of our lives. God sees the bigger picture. He knows the end from the beginning. And while we may see a delay, God sees preparation. He sees growth. He sees a heart being strengthened, a faith being deepened. Just as a gardener knows when to sow and when to harvest, God knows when it's time for our breakthrough. It's important to understand that God's timing is perfect. He's never late and He's never early. He's always right on time. And while it may not align with our own timeline, we need to trust that His timing is best, because He sees what we can't see and He knows what we don't know. In the midst of the storm, it's easy to focus on the wind and the waves, but I encourage you to shift your focus. Instead of looking at the storm, look to the one who can calm the storm. Trust in His timing, trust in His plan, trust in His love for you. So hold on, dear friends. Keep the faith, keep believing. Remember, the storm is not the end of the story. It's just a chapter. And when the time is right, when you're ready, the storm will pass and a new day will dawn. Trust in God's timing for your life. Your delay is not a denial. Remember, you are not remembered by what you avoided in life, but by what you survived. Storms are inevitable, but our anchor is immovable. God's Word is our anchor, solid and unchanging. Indeed, as we've journeyed together through this conversation, we've encountered the reality of life's storms. They can come out of nowhere, shaking our lives to their core and testing our faith to its limits. Yet we've also discovered that these storms, no matter how fierce or frightening, are not our end. They are instead opportunities for growth, for transformation, and for deepening our trust in God's perfect timing. We've explored God's response to our storms, how He stands alongside us, ready to shoulder our burdens. There's no storm too great for Him, no problem too complex. His wisdom and power are infinite, His love for us unending. He can and will bring us through, stronger and more resilient than before. We've contemplated the seasons of life, the ebb and flow of our experiences. Just as winter yields to spring, our seasons of difficulty will give way to seasons of joy and peace. We are reminded that our trials are temporary, our problems fleeting. We are encouraged to hold on, to endure, for change is guaranteed. Life is a series of seasons, and every season, no matter how harsh, will pass. We've recognized the power of God's Word, our anchor in the storm. This is the unchanging truth we can cling to when everything else is in flux. His promises are sure, His Word reliable. In the midst of our storms, His Word brings comfort, guidance, and hope. It assures us of His presence, His power, and His unwavering commitment to see us through. We've considered the importance of building on the right foundation. When the storms come, what we're built on matters. A foundation rooted in God's Word, in His love and truth, will withstand the fiercest storm. It is this foundation that will keep us steady, secure, and unwavering. And finally, we've affirmed the necessity of trusting in God's timing. Our delays are not denials. God's timing is perfect, His plan for us flawless. Our task is to trust, to wait, to endure. In His time, our breakthrough will come, our prayers will be answered, our storm will pass, and we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. In conclusion, my friends, let us remember that storms are a part of life. They are inevitable, but they are not insurmountable. Our anchor is immovable. God's word is our anchor, solid and unchanging. Let us hold on to this truth as we navigate the storms of life. Let us trust in God's timing, for His timing is perfect. And let us remember, we are not remembered by what we avoided in life, but by what we survived. Never trust someone who hasn't been through a storm, because storms reveal strength. Trust in God's timing, for your delay is not a denial.